Welcome to the network of Networth video podcast, having high-level conversations with high-level individuals. I'll be your host, Christopher Day. Enjoy the show. Hey out there, YouTube land. Today, we will be speaking to Jim Braun, financial planner and advisor and licensed security agent. Stay tuned for some amazing ways to secure your financial future. So, Jim, I tell you what, I know that you are a financial advisor. Actually, I know that you have your hands in several things in that, in that field. And I would love for you to tell the viewers exactly who you are and what you do, period.
Well, I've been in the financial world. What happened is when I was I was actually a carpenter, and I worked, by the hour, framing houses back when I was in my 20s,
Sure.
and got a crazy phone call out of the blue from a guy that was looking to to build a business. He was building a financial company. And I thought, well, what's he want with me? I'd pound nails, right? And saw wood. And well, he says, well, I was referred to you by your friend Chris. And so Chris, my friend's name was Chris. And he said that you're kind of the guy that's always got your ear to the ground looking for opportunity. And I said, yep, that's me. I'm always open-minded about whatever, right?
Sure.
Well, he came to my house. I was about 28 years old. And, I was making about 12 bucks an hour this was in 1986.
Sure.
Barely making it, rent, and I just had a baby and all this stuff. And, just like everybody, right? Just struggling, trying to work odd jobs. And what I didn't want to do, what I was doing is I was framing houses all day, and I didn't want to go out on the weekends and after work and put cabinets in for people and, keep having my tools out, pouring concrete. Sure. And so I wanted to do something different. Yeah, so a side job that didn't involve construction. That's what I was really looking for.
Sure.
And I didn't want to go work retail or fast food, or, I did the auto parts thing and ran an auto parts store for a while. And, that the nighttime work was just not for me. I wanted to do something entrepreneurial.
Certainly.
Anyway, this guy comes to my house, and he's a vice president of a firm. And, he showed me these concepts, that it was a little book. And back then it was called Common Sense. Today it's called How Money Works. And so I looked at this book, and it's about 40 pages, and everything in it I'd never seen before. And, I went to college. I mean, I'm one of those guys that went a year and a half to a 2-year college.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And, I wanted to be a computer engineer, and that's where that's before Bill Gates and all that. So I'm dating myself. But 1986, he comes and he starts showing me all these concepts. And one of the chapters in there was one thing called the Rule of 72.
Yes.
And I've never heard of it before. And he says, well, you've heard of E equals MC squared, right? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, the same guy that made that, Albert Einstein, made that famous, actually made the Rule of 72 famous. Now, the mathematical equation was invented in the 1400s, but, he made this famous, but you never heard about it in school, right?
Certainly. Now, since you're on the topic, would you tell the viewers about the Rule of 72?
Okay. So the Rule of 72 is a 5th grade math problem that says, if you take the number 72 and you divide it with the interest rate that you earn on your money, it tells you how many years it takes for your money to, right at about double every year. So for instance, you have let's say grandma, passed away and left you a couple $1,000, $2,000, and you go down to the local bank and you can get 3% on your money, let's say, right? Well, 3 divided into 72 is 24. Okay. So that means it's going to take 24 years for your $2,000 just sitting there compounding to turn to 4,000.
Sure.
Right. And it's going to take another 24 years for it to turn to 8,000. Well, I saw that and I was like, well, that's not very good. Right. Well, then And then he introduced me to this word called mutual fund.
Mhm.
And I said, "What's a mutual fund?" He goes, "Well, there's about 25,000 of them in the world, and here in the United States we have about 7,500. And what it is, it's instead of buying one stock, you buy a mutual of stocks,
Right.
right? And these companies have, on average, between 150 to 250 companies in their mutual of, and this is where all the money goes that people, when you go to the bank and you put this 2 grand in, most likely that money's going to go out the next day or that week and go into mutual funds,
That's right. To
through the
help the
bank. The
bank
bank's
grow
doing
its
it.
money.
The
That's
banks, that's where the banks put their money, right?
that's
Into the
right.
American economy. Well, uh, but see, what does a bank make on their money? Well, they are told, so they make anywhere from 9 to 26%. If anybody in the audience has a credit card, when's the last time you looked at your credit card? What's the interest rate? I looked at a couple of them this morning. I got one that's 27.49%. Just, I mean, I don't have any money on it. I don't get debt, but I mean, 27%.
Sure.
Uh, uh,
Sure.
so they're making that kind of money on those, right? And he said, "Look, I have the license to show you how to go do that." And I'm like, I'm in. What do I got to do? Right. He said, I said, "But I don't have thousands of dollars to go put money into an investment like that." And he goes, "Do you have $25?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, $25. I can put you into this. Matter of fact, back then they didn't have Roth IRAs. He said, I can open an IRA for you for as little as $25 and show you how to put that in every month."
Wow.
And that's when I jumped up and I said, "Well, I have a guy that's a friend of my dad's that just sold me, or he not sold me, but he's, gave me the printout for this new life insurance policy called Universal Life, where I have insurance, and if I don't use the insurance, then I can cash it in someday." And he showed me how I was going to be a millionaire.
Okay.
And he said, and so, well, there's a chapter in the book called How to Buy the Right Kind of Life Insurance. And so we read it, and he got my statements out, and he said, "Read here, read here, read here, and read here." And my jaw hit the table. And he said, "There's a term in the industry that's called the bold print giveth and the fine print taketh away. And you just had the fine print just taketh away. And so anyway, I could not believe. I said, "How is this legal for them to do that?" And he said, "They've been doing it for 150 years." And so I went and confronted the guy, and he worked with Jake at that company. Jake from
Sure.
that
Sure.
company. Yeah, he works with Jake. And so I went and confronted him, and he was my dad's best friend, owned one of these agencies. And I said, "What the heck, man? What are you trying to sell me?" And he said, "Hey, dude, I don't know how they work. I just sell them."
Right.
And I went, "Oh, well, back then, I was very disturbed by it because I was putting $100 a month of money that I couldn't afford into this, because this was going to take care of my family, pay off my house if I died. I'll give you an example. I was paying $100 a month for $100,000 worth of insurance, and my house was 83,000.
Right.
Okay, I felt like if I died, at least my wife would have a paid off house.
Sure.
Okay, and here I am climbing big buildings, and I probably could die any day. But so anyway, he says, "Well, look, there's a type of insurance in the industry that no one ever talks about. And it's really at the bottom of the salesman's briefcase, and it's called term insurance." And he said that it's kind of like when you say no 10 times, on the 11th time they get that one out, right? And they sell you this term policy. Well, he was able to sell me 200, and at that time it was $270,000 of term, which was a lot of insurance in 1986. Okay. And he did a little analysis. That's what I would have needed. He said he was able to do that for $50 a month, for half of what I was spending. And he did it for a 20-year level term. So the cost was the same, insurance was the same for 20 years. And he says, "Let's take the other $50 and let's put it into an IRA, into one of these mutual funds that I told you about." Okay. He said, "With that old policy that you had, do you know if you died, you'd get your wife would get the 100,000 of insurance, but you would never get any of the savings that you built in." Remember
Sure.
that? He showed me where it said that. Okay. And but if you have the IRA, that's in a separate company, you'd get all that too. Your wife would get all that too. Plus, you'd get almost 3 or 4 times the amount of insurance that you close to 3 times the amount of coverage that you have now, and you're
Right.
not spending any more money.
Hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, this sounds great, right? So the next morning I go to work and I start quizzing. I had 60 guys I was working with on a big project, and I started quizzing everybody. Hey, do you guys have life insurance? Is it the kind that has savings in it? Right? And everybody had it. Right.
Oh, you just froze up on me for a second. He said, everybody has it. It's got to be your end. I think I'm good over here. We'll see. I'm sure you'll be
I
right
did
back.
not have a securities license back then. I do now. I have several of them.
Sure.
And you know, so yeah, that's how it ended up starting. And now I do everything from estate planning, wills, Medicare. I do stuff, mortgage. I'm a mortgage licensed mortgage broker in the state of Texas. Not a broker, but a MLO. Excuse me. But I help people get out of debt and teach them how to build their wealth. But not only that, but after that is how do we make sure once you turn 65 that you're never going to run out of money.
Sure.
So I love doing it, and I love getting after the industry. Um, we all know that the insurance industry, no matter if it's health insurance to life insurance to car insurance, that there are those that are being enriched by the system that has been created,
Sure.
and the other ones are bankrupting people that so it's working perfectly for the right people,
Right.
right?
Well, that's one of the reasons that I was compelled to speak with you. We meet financial advisors every meeting, a ton of them at every meeting from every company, and they generally sound pretty darn boring. And there's really not. And what I've learned over the years is that it's more of a sales position. You go to work
Yeah.
for whatever company is, you sell what the product that they offer. And a lot of times these guys, I mean, I'll meet them before they're financial advisors and they wouldn't know what to tell you to do with your money. Wouldn't know.
No,
So
and
what
they
I
they only
understand.
they only concentrate on the investment part. They don't do they're not holistic.
Exactly, exactly. And then when we were talking and you mentioned the years of experience and the different things that you do, I realized I was talking to someone else, and then I look down at the business card and I see that title, which we'll keep that private, but I look down at the
Okay.
title and I say, okay, he knows his stuff. Now, one thing you said to me that really intrigued me, and look, I have never in my life paid a financial advisor, ever. Never thought it was worth my time, energy, money, anything. I also learned to buy into mutual funds and trade stocks and futures contracts and those things back when I
Yeah.
was in my early 20s. So I never felt like I needed it.
Okay.
At the same time, I probably wouldn't because I never felt like I made enough for it to matter. Like when I meet these suit and tie guys at every one of these meetings, I don't feel like the little old job that I've ever had made me enough to ever need a financial advisor. Then
Right.
you said to me at this last meeting, oh, well, this guy helped me with $50 a month.
Yep.
And to realize that now to me, I know a lot about investments and I know a lot of things that I could invest into for $50, and you're not getting a whole lot. You're really
Right.
not. And when you have a product and you're very versed in what you do and you can say, hey, I can help somebody with no matter what they're making, basically.
Well, they've actually lowered that now to $25
Oh, good Lord. Now, see,
for the
that's
minimum.
actually what I want to ask you about because I think that most of the people that follow me, are regular human beings who have
Mm-hmm.
regular jobs, right? Regular
Right.
blue collar America. And what exactly could someone that makes an normal to, excuse me, less than average to average paycheck, what could they possibly do with $100 a month?
Well, let me
What
put
could
it
they
this
do?
way: if you got an average return, that the stock market average return in an indexed fund, okay, which is around 8 to 10% on average,
Sure.
$100 a month, you could be knocking on or just over $1 million in 20 years with a
$20,
hundred dollar. Yeah, with a
$100 a
hundred
month.
dollar, with $100 a month. Yep.
Wow. Wow. No, so, and
Yeah.
I don't
It's
think that most people understand that an investment like that can do that for them. It's as
yeah.
minimal as $100 a month.
It's the
But
power of, well, going back to the rule of 72, if you were able to get 10% on your investment, and you can, that's it's out there. Um, that's your money doubles every 7.2 years,
sure.
not 24 years,
Right. Right.
right? So there's a huge difference between 3% and 10%.
Certainly,
Yeah,
certainly, certainly.
you know,
So that's what could be expected for a regular person to just put
yep.
in, I mean, really $100 a month. You ought to be able to come up with $100. But even if that, you can put $25 is what you're saying.
Yeah,
25.
and now with the advent of, Senator Roth that created the Roth IRA, that can all be tax free.
Ah, I see. Now, can you explain some of that to anyone who doesn't
Yeah,
understand how to use it? And the reason I ask this is I talk to a lot of people every day that have some sort of retirement account or some sort of
yeah,
401k that's
yep,
just something they signed a piece of paper when they set up their job.
yep,
Don't know what to do with it, don't know how to do anything with it.
yep.
They may
And they
not even
met the
work
guy
on
for
the job.
for 15 minutes, and they filled out the paper, and that was it.
That's it. So can you
Yep,
please tell, anybody
yep.
watching what they might, about
Yeah.
that?
So if you have a 401k, then you are in mutual funds, most likely. Um, so you don't even maybe know it, but
Right.
there's different risks. There's different levels of risk in these funds, and so that's where we come in with the experience to say, here's what you should do based on your risk tolerance, because everybody's risk tolerance is different,
Sure.
right?
If I'm not
Uh,
mistaken, and maybe you can help me clarify this, when someone puts money into their 401k, that's just the mutual fund portfolio from their company, basically, right? Whichever ones they think are good ideas.
when you mean they, which
Their employer, the company that
well,
they
now
know who
so the
pays their
employer
401k.
sets up a fund with a mutual fund company, and the mutual fund company then says, all right, we're going to give you these 8 or 9 different portfolios, and you can put them in. You've got aggressive growth and income funds, and then money market. So you can kind of go any direction you want. You can put half of it in this one and another quarter of it in this one, and that's what you'll sit with the guy that puts it, or the gal that would put it together for you
Sure.
when you first start it, right? Sometimes it's the HR person that helps you with it.
Right.
And you just put your money in there, and then that money that goes in every week out of every paycheck, that money is not taxed. So that's what they call qualified money that goes in, and you don't pay any taxes on that, and then you get to write that off of your taxes at the come April 15th.
Sure.
So if you put 5 grand into your 401k, you can write $5,000 off your income taxes. So it's a way for people that have make too much money to actually, um, you know, put money into an IRA, or start a 401k with their company, and
Sure.
we can help them lower their tax bracket that way.
Now,
The other
what if
thing is,
someone maxes that out at their job, right? Like, and that happens, you can only, put in so much. Is
right?
that advisable to go through a company like yours and or, someone like yourself to be able to open another account and do it another one?
Yeah. So most people qualify, depending on their income, for an additional account, say a Roth IRA. So even though you have a 401k at your work, and the company might even be matching it. So what I tell everybody is that put in your 401k up to the match. So if you got to put in 6% to get 3%, well, that's free money. And they usually give you 50% of what you put in, right?
Right.
So I don't have any investment that pays 50% on the money. So you do
Right.
that first, okay? And then what we can do is, alternatively, is to open up, let's say, a Roth IRA where the money goes in already taxed, and that money can grow. We can put that into a portfolio, and then you can have that in addition. So typically, my advice I'm just going to say a broad thing is, put in up to your company match, okay? Get the match. If it's 6%, then great. Then take and fully fund the Roth IRA next, okay, which right now is $7,500. That's to fully fund it. Now you could put $25 a month in it, or you could put 7,500 in it one time. If
Sure.
you're over 50, you get to put an extra 1,000 in. You get to put 8,500 in, and so, um, as a kind of a catch up, right?
Sure.
And then if you want to do more, you can go back to the 401k, and you can take that one up to whatever, in your age bracket. And they're up there around 22, 23,000 now. I'd have to Google it or get my sheets out, but they just changed it at the first of the year. But I think it's right around $23,000 now that you can put in there. Um, of your income.
Sure, sure. Okay. Well, here's another question that I've actually been asked several times, and it's because I deal with a lot with venture capital, startups, people trying to buy and sell small businesses. And they ask a lot about self-directed IRAs. What is the process of going through if someone has an IRA, they've got a 401k, got an old one. I know a lot of people that they've changed jobs through
Yep.
2020,
Yep.
and they've just got them sitting around that they need to be
Yep.
able to take that money and put it somewhere, where they can actually make a real investment. What is the process for someone to do that?
It's very simple. We call it a rollover, and it can be rolled over, into a like account. And what I mean by a like account was where it's a non-taxable event. So you just roll it from your old 401k. I mean, I got a person I'm working with right now in Florida that has eight 401ks from
Right.
eight different jobs,
Sure.
right? And they all have about 100 grand in them. So he's got about 800 grand, and he needs to roll that all into one IRA.
Certainly.
Now the problem with it is most of the time the fees are about double in 401ks versus IRAs.
I see.
So somebody could do it on their own. I mean, they could call up, I'm just going to throw a name out like Vanguard. You can call it Vanguard, and you could start your own 401k. A lot of times you can buy mutual funds that are no load, there's no fees, but I
Sure.
also call those no help because you're talking to an 800 number, or you're getting mailed brochures. You don't have a guy or a person like me, that you can call. I give my cell phone number out to every one of my clients, and they can call me on Sunday night if they're freaked out.
Right. And that
Um,
does make a difference. I know for
oh,
myself, I started off getting, mail in prospectuses, right?
mhm,
These, nice 40-page little thin, slender books that you're reading fine print on everything that fund does. And there was no one to ask except for that 100 or 800 number.
right, right. Now, somebody that knows what they're doing, that's great. Could do that. Save that fee. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of years it takes to learn that stuff and all
Right,
the ins
right.
and outs, and right.
Well,
Um,
that's what I mean. I never even understood that there was someone that I could have asked.
yeah,
That's one of the reasons I like doing these shows. Some of the stuff that we do every day, we take for granted. We
yeah,
think that everyone knows this. They don't.
right.
You know,
Oh no, not even.
John's
I
true
was.
public don't understand what it is that a financial planner does or could do for them. It just seems like something foreign from what they do.
Right.
Sure,
Well, and when I found out that, it's just like most people are afraid to talk to a financial person like myself because they think it's going to be like a lawyer, where as soon as they sit down, they punch the time clock and say, all right, you better start talking fast because it's 250 an hour.
sure,
No, nobody ever pays me um, a fee to meet with me. I broker for about 85 companies, 84, 85 companies. I haven't counted in the last time, but I have no allegiance to these companies.
sure.
I don't work for these companies. So my job is to analyze and educate.
Great.
Okay. So what I do is I go in and I've got several ways that I can analyze. I have the 5 minute method and I have the 2 hour method, depending on how big your portfolio is. I have a digital tool that I'm pioneering here in Texas right now that is the most unbelievable. It's called B Dollar Smart. And I'm able to send a link like this through Zoom, and in 5 minutes comes up with a series of alerts and shows you everything you qualify when it comes to retirement, college for your kids, all that. And it turns me into a consultant, and we just go through the alerts and I educate them on all the different alerts. And then they
Very
go,
cool.
oh, well, give me one of those and give me one of those and give me one of those.
Yeah,
And then
a sales tool too.
I match them up with what I believe is the perfect company and the perfect product. And then that company pays me.
Sure, sure.
So that's how I earn my fee,
Right.
is through
But
that.
by building this piece of technology, that really helps kind of take some of that and help you out with it. I like that. It makes it a tool. It
Oh,
truly
it's
is a
unbelievable.
sales
It
tool.
uses intellectual intelligence so that as you answer the question, it customizes itself just to you and to your alerts. So
Awesome.
it's not a cookie cutter type app.
Sure.
And it was invented by accident by two of our vice presidents in Kansas, and they put it out. I just happened to be one of the friends of a friend. And they said, oh, we got a guy in Texas that would, be all over this. So they got a hold of me, and I'm one of 225 people that's pioneering this. And I've had it for about a year and a half. And now our company's going to buy it from these two guys because it's unbelievable. I can't describe it without you just seeing it done, a demonstration of it.
I've got to
Now,
ask you, in all the years that you've been doing this, could you pick out one or two fantastic stories of just where a normal human being walked in and asked for services and what they accomplished in their time, with your company or with your
oh
service?
gosh, I've had several. I, I I like to tell the story about when I was brand new in the business,
Mhm.
and it was the day that it changed my life from the standpoint of I felt like I was not an insurance guy anymore, but I was really doing a service for someone.
Sure.
And so I was brand new in the business. I probably had two sales under my belt, and this was back in just outside of the disco era when I had the John Travolta big collar, and everybody was wearing disco clothes and all that,
Sure.
right? And so I had an ex girlfriend that called me up and she says, "Hey, I have a fireman friend of mine that wants to meet with you." And I thought, oh gosh, a fireman guy, right? And so anyway, long story short, I go to his house. He's got all of his life insurance policies out, and he's got whole life insurance. Okay. It's the one that Dave Ramsey hates, right?
Mhm.
And where it combines the savings and the insurance in the same contract.
Okay.
Okay. But there's four rules to the game. Okay. The first 2 to 3 years, there's no savings in the policy. It says it right on page 3 or 4 in your policy.
Sure.
After the 3 or 4 years, if you ever need the money back out of the policy, you have to borrow it from them. You have to pay the insurance company interest to borrow your own money back. Okay.
Ah,
And, out of the policy. And then if you were to die while that policy was in force, you would get the face amount of the insurance, but this cash value that you've built up throughout the years actually becomes part of the death benefit, and the insurance company, for lack of a better word, they keep it.
right, right. And
They
that's what I
absorb it.
always
The
understood.
technical word is they absorb it.
Yeah, I thought that was standard practice. I
No,
mean, I think
no,
all of my stuff was that way.
no, and that's one of the biggest. They've been doing this for 150 years. Well, what I teach people is to purchase term life insurance, and not all term is the same. You've got what I call cheap term and value term. So the cheap term is the stuff you see on the television and on the radio. The get on some website, and some guy can buy. One guy was able to, for $20 a month, buy $1 million policy. Well, one guy bought it so they can advertise it, right?
Sure.
Doesn't work that way. I did this with a client the other day. He was like, "Well, I could buy cheaper term than this." I said, "Well, do you buy your steaks at the dollar store?"
I love it.
No, you go to the great, Grand Zines over here or something. You buy real quality meat, right? Why do people upgrade their cars to Lariat, packages? And people like value. Well, I'm able to show what value in the term company that I work with.
Sure.
So long story. So I go in there. This fireman's got the policies all out. 25,000 on him, 50,000 on the wife, 100,000 on the kids. And I said, well, why do you have $100,000 policies on the kids? Oh, they're for their college. We bought them for college plans. All right. So I said, oh, really? Well, I knew these policies inside and out. I just hadn't done a lot of customers. So I opened the policy up to where it says the cash value page, and
Mhm.
there was zeros all the way down the page. And I said, okay, how old's the youngest? And it was this little girl. I said, she's 9. When will she go to college? 19 or 20. I said, okay, let's go 20. So that's 11 years from now. And I showed him the policy. I said, right here, how long will she be able to go to school on $28? And he says, oh, that's got to be a mistake. Right. And I said, no. And finally we were arguing, and I said, look, I passed the same test that the guy that sold you this.
Yeah.
You got screwed. Okay. And this guy flipped the kitchen table over while I was sitting at
He was upset.
it. He was,
$200,000
and he
policy.
was a big fireman, right? With the mustache
Sure.
and everything. And you remember the phones on the wall? He almost ripped the phone off the wall trying to call his agent. Okay.
Oh
His
man.
wife calms him down, anyway, he finally comes down and he said, all right, what can you do for us? I was able to, give him like I think it was 500 grand or 600 grand on him, 250 or 300 grand on his wife. This was a long time ago. And then instead of we did a little child rider on the kids of about 10,000 each. But I wasn't securities licensed at the time, so I brought a securities license guy in, and he actually put the kids with the extra money, because the amount of money they were paying on these policies was like 800 a month or something. I put the extra money into college plans for the kids, real one, like 529s.
Sure.
And that guy ended up 6 years later dying in a car accident.
Oh,
And I took a check for 600 grand to that woman and those two girls.
yeah.
And it just, man, I don't think, I'm getting emotional right now.
It's life changing. I mean, it's
Oh,
life changing.
it was like, holy crap, this stuff really works.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. And that
And
is the
that
thing.
was the day that okay, I thought I was all in. Now I'm all in.
Sure. That's what we always hear, from, the insurance people, is it's the one thing that you need to pay for and you never want to have to use,
Right. Right. So
Right. Sounds like it.
yeah, that was a big one. And I mean, I have several more that I probably don't have time for, but I mean, unless you do, I got, other ones. But
Feel free. Feel free. Yeah, we could definitely tell me some stories.
well, I had a client one time that I parked my truck. I had this old truck that, when I was part-time, I didn't drive a Mercedes, right?
Sure.
I drove an old 65 Ford pickup truck, and I didn't want them to see my truck because I was in this really kind of affluent neighborhood. So I parked around the street and I walked over to the house, and I walk up to the door, and here, I mean, the perfectly manicured lawn, the wife's a emergency room nurse, the guy's a cop, he's got a Jeep, with on a jack stands,
Sure.
with the carpet and the mirrors and the garage and a Harley. And, I mean, just, I go in the house, Ethan Allen furniture, all of it. Right. And I'm just like, why am I here? Right. These people don't need me. So anyway, I was there to do a financial needs analysis for them, right. They wanted to meet with me through a referral again. So I sit at the kitchen table, and this is back when houses weren't as much as they are today. And I said, uh, so, I get to the debt portion and the mortgage portion, and I said, so how much debt do you have outside of your mortgage? And filling the paperwork out. And the guy says, 400,000. And I said, no, excuse me, not including your mortgage. And he
Yeah.
said, 400,000. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
And I just, did one of these, right? Only in my mind, I'm trying to be straight faced. And I walked out of anyway, I was able to help them by doing we did a second mortgage for them, paid off their debt, took the money. Because one of the things I do is I show people how to refinance their, pull some equity, because sometimes the debt snowball just doesn't work for some people.
Right.
It's going to take too long. They don't want to wait 14 years to get out of debt. They want to be out now. And they have 30,000 equity in their house. Let's pull that out. Let's pay that debt off. Any mortgage company can do that for them, right? However, Chris, this is it, man. Because I have a securities license, what I can do, let's just say we did this for you. We pulled 30 grand, we paid off your debt. Now you're debt free. Okay. But you got a first mortgage in the second now, right?
Right.
I'm going to show you how to take this $800 to $1,000 that we just freed up for you, that if you were with any other person, they would say, hey, have a nice day. If you ever need to do this again, let us know. We'll be back. Well, they know in 2 years you're going to be back needing another refinance, because the average person goes right back into debt.
Right.
So I sit down and say, look, you don't have to do this, but this is what you do. You take that $800. Let's chop it up. Let's get you a Roth IRA for you, 529 or Coverdell plan for the kids. Let's put an emergency fund together. And oh, by the way, you don't have any life insurance. Let's get you a little term policy for 20, 25 years, cover you for that. Now we've got this money working for you. And let's go ahead and let's accelerate the two mortgages, so that you're not paying them off in 30 years.
Right. Right.
Let's try to get those down under 20.
Now that's as long as you take care of that spending problem.
Yeah, that's true.
I
One of
was
the
going to
things,
ask you, and
well,
then
one of the things I do, and I'm just telling you this, and this is I never put a HELOC on somebody that has a spending problem.
sure,
I won't do it,
don't do
because
it.
all I'm doing is giving them a giant credit card at that point.
Right, right,
I mean,
right. And
yeah,
that's what I was going to ask you until you mentioned that is what is the recidivism rate, when it comes
yeah.
to, yeah, you
Well,
pull
most
out.
people, when I show them my program, the whole program, they just are like, "Where have you been all our life? This is incredible."
Sure, sure.
So, yeah. So that's in a nutshell. Um, I'm also actively, uh, for the lack of a better word, I'm actually also recruiting and developing agents to work with me so I can take them under my wing and teach them not only the technology that I have, this new technology, but I'm looking for people in many different states. I'm licensed in 8 states, working on my ninth one right now, and my goal is to put an office in all 50 states run by somebody else. Um,
Okay. Can
that's
you
that's
tell me
my
what kind of criteria you'd be looking for those types of individuals?
well. First of all, they have to pass a background check,
Sure.
which it is a state federal background check. It's about $99 for that. Um, it's you can't have a felony, or if you do, it's got to be way old. Okay, it can't involve money, and it can't involve anybody getting hurt. And if that's the case, you're out. Also, misdemeanors involving money or moral turpitude, things like that. Can't do that. But I'm looking for somebody that believes what I believe, and the banks aren't helping them. The insurance companies definitely aren't helping them, and they need a coach. And I'll let Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch take care of the rich. I want to work with the carpenter, the fireman, the nurse. That's who I want to help. The person that is making $15 an hour and they go home and cry at night. Don't know what to do. I can show them how to make extra income, and I can show them how to get out of debt and become debt free and financially independent.
I love that you actually answered the questions without me having to ask. I have to ask every person, who is it that you need to meet? Who is it that you want to work with? Who is it that you are looking for? And you told us there. So you're looking for number one, you're looking for some agents. You're looking to recruit some people to come to work and do what
Yes.
you do. You're also looking for John Q. America, who they all need help. They need to know what to do with their money. So
Yes.
really, that's who you're looking for. Those two types of people. Now, what type of networking efforts have you been going to? I know we met at an entrepreneurship networking group.
Yeah.
What other efforts do you personally do for your business?
Well, I belong to 2 chambers of commerce. Used to be 3, but it was just too much. As far as networking, why I'm getting to that is I came in here kind of helicoptered in. I didn't know anybody,
Sure.
and so I love working with people, and I love meeting new people. And you friended me on Facebook first. It freaked me out. I'm telling you, I've been watching you for about a month.
Oh,
and
wow.
and I and I because I think we have about 7 or 8 people in our group that were
Yes, we
tagged
do.
for
And I looked and I know all of them.
yeah. So I said, I mean, literally, I said I need to meet this guy someday. Okay, and
Sure.
then the next day you friended me on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'll probably meet him sooner than I thought.
Well,
And then I go to this network group, and you pull up, sit at my table. How weird is that?
yeah, recognize me when I walk in the door. No, you know what? That's really nice. That means that we're both doing what we're supposed to do. You're out there trying to build your network, build your professional circle. I am too.
Yeah.
You notice the people that send you friend requests. Some people just click add or accept or
Oh
whatever
no,
and never take a second look. Now, I don't always take a long gander at the person I'm going to add friend to, but I'll look at how many connections. Oh, I've got 18 connections. Click. 5, 10 connections, click. If it's 1 or 2 people, I probably wouldn't. But if there's a lot on there, it looks like we probably need to know each other. So I think that's what happened is we're in the same spot. But yeah, I think that's the biggest part is we were supposed to meet up. Yeah, we were
yeah,
supposed to
I
meet up.
believe that. I mean, I truly believe that. Uh, it's funny that as you get older, you start to notice, the hand of God and pushing you, and
100%.
that's why I'm here. There was too many signs that told me I needed to come here and do this,
Sure.
and we won't get into that today. But that was some, and I'm not a super religious guy. I mean, I go to church and all
Sure.
that, but I'm not. But there was some things that happened that my wife and I just went, whoa.
Sure. Hey, I'm
right?
always down for that conversation. If you want to have that,
Okay,
and
yeah,
it doesn't have to be
we'll have
today.
that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be today, but I love those stories too. I'm a firm believer myself.
Yeah,
My wife and I were just talking the other day about doing these shows and the evolution of it. We've actually done multiple iterations of this particular show, and that's why I say welcome to the show. You never know
yeah.
what it's going to be called when it comes out. Well, there's
Well,
different segments for different things. I have some that are entrepreneurial and financial based. I have some that are just fun, right? I have some that are part of our organizations that we're parts of, and they all have different names. Think about Grant Cardone's got 10 shows going on right now, all with different names. Same guy,
right,
same thing, but they're different
right.
concepts, different fields. So we do the same type of thing. And as I mentioned to her, I said, I've been doing this for a long time, really for fun. I enjoy doing it. It helps me increase the circle, business wise, but we don't do anything to, make money doing this. I don't even normally put in links for any kind of affiliates or anything in this type of video. And as I was talking to her the other day, I said, I've wondered what I'm supposed to be doing. I know that I'm supposed to be doing this all the time. The reason and exactly what it's supposed to happen, I don't know.
I figured it out.
After about 15 years, I've realized that a lot of it was because I needed to document the things that happened because they have been fantastic. And when you tell people this stuff, it sounds like BS. That's what it is. And now I'm at a point to I realize people my whole life have said, you've got the gift of gab. You born with the silver tongue, whatever it is. And I've always just looked at it. Well, I did well in marketing. I did well in sales. I've done well in entrepreneurship. And a lot of that's negotiating. Now I realize that I'm supposed to use this, right, to do so much more. And in truth, the majority of my day is spent having calls, having meetings, doing Zoom calls, talking to people,
Yeah,
or sitting at a networking meeting like we were the other day.
right,
And financially, it has changed my life just talking to human beings
yeah,
like this. And it's not because I have anything to sell you, because that's not what I do. But
right.
we build a network doing this. And I think that's when they say the gift of gab. That's what I told my wife the other day. I said, I think that was the good Lord telling me. It struck in my mind at that moment. First time, and I've said it and I've heard it and I've 1,000 times in my life. But that moment that I thought about it, I knew that what he was telling me was this is the gift that I gave you. Now, he didn't tell
Yeah,
me exactly how I'm supposed to use it. He did not tell me exactly what I'm supposed to do. But I do know that I'm supposed to continue forward, keep trying to build this. And if there's someone else out there like yourself who I met in a place where you're actively seeking positivity in your life,
yeah,
positivity and growth. Like that wasn't one of those deals we had a chance encounter. We met at a charity event where we're trying to rub elbows with the right people. That's not what that is. That's one of those that you travel out of your way to come sit down and pay to sit down and eat, to hang out with people you don't know.
I didn't know anybody there. That was my first time. Yeah,
Right, right, right. And so you're actively trying to do something with your life. I try to find people just like that. I don't know what you do. I don't know any of that when the first time I meet you. But I know that if I'm able to tell your story to the right person, your life can change.
yeah,
And who
that's
knows?
exactly right.
Yeah. And in turn, maybe mine will too one of these days.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Anyhow,
I just, I don't know what it is, but every day, I just want to go find that next person that I can help.
that's it.
Um, I don't have to do this. I have several, trades, and I've got residual incomes coming in and everything. But
Sure.
I just I told somebody yesterday, they were talking about on another. I do an online networking group too,
Right.
and that one of the questions was what, why do you do what you do? And I said, I'm going to do this as long as I possibly can until they pat my face with a shovel, the
Certainly.
dirt on my face. That I feel like this is my, if might sound corny, but it's kind of a
Calling.
ministry.
Yeah, it's your
I
calling. No,
mean,
I
yeah.
totally understand it. I have felt
Well,
that way multiple times about this type of
and one of the things, if I could put this out, is I do, and if any of the listeners are interested in this, is I offer a free, and I'm talking free, like no gimmicky sales pitch, none of that stuff, but I offer a free financial wellness workshop for businesses that would like to have me come and do a 45-minute to an hour. I have some slides, and I talk, you know, we have a very interactive, it's a lot of fun. And I talk about just the basics of money and how we got here with, I talk about the rule of 72, and I show them the things that the bad evils of cash value life insurance. And I show them, different slides about how do we learn the tax code in school and stuff like that. So it's a very interactive with the crowd. The best thing is it's free, and I buy lunch. I bring lunch.
Wow. Well, I think,
So
okay, is there a registration link or a sign up page or anything?
no, they would just have to get a hold of me, and talk to me. And if they got a hold of me, we can talk. I picked one up today. I'm going to do one in front of 200 realtors. I do everything from, I've got another one in town. I'm going to do a food bank. I'm going to be doing a budget one for a food bank for people that don't have any money.
Sure.
How do I budget? And I'm going to do one for at the library here, a veterinary place in Wimberley. I got a roofing company that's setting one up here near me here in Canyon Lake. And
Wow.
so it doesn't matter. I don't care if I'll go on a job site with a bunch of carpenters and do one because I
I
speak
love
that
it.
language. I love
Hey, I
that.
tell you, as someone who does speaking engagements, you're lined up. You're doing it, man. You're doing it. Hey, it's hard for me to get them lined up like that. And I talk about
Yeah.
all kind of stuff. You're talking about a very boring subject. I mean, you have to understand.
Well, I make it fun, Chris.
Right.
That's
Well,
that.
I've enjoyed talking to you about it. I mean, even finding out that there's something that regular people can actually do with a
Yeah.
regular amount. When I
Yeah.
first got into investments, actually, I'll tell you this. This is what sets me apart from the rest of my family. I'm the only one who even knows what to do if you have any extra money. And like, period. And they will never learn what to do with it. Don't care to know what to do with it. That's an extra pack of cigarettes or an extra this or that for the week or whatever. And that's
Right.
all it's ever going to be. I didn't think that there were possibilities unless you have absorbent amounts of money,
Yep.
that there just
That's
wasn't any option for that. You might as well just spend it on frivolity
sure.
because what were you going to do with it? And now I
Right.
realize that there are things that someone can do that's real,
Yeah.
that can
And
generate
I,
real results.
and I don't, I don't advocate saving all your money. I'm not one of those kind of guys where I don't want you to go on a vacation or have fun because you need to save for retirement. You know, my son and I had this talk the other day. He says he knows a lot of people that have passed away at 55 years old, left $1 million 401k, but they never did anything in their life.
Yeah.
What I tell people is try to save 15 to 20% of your income, and then blow the rest and have a good time.
I love it. I love the fact that you say that. I tell you, I've been one that I don't save anything, no savings at all. I invest a lot, almost
Yeah.
everything. And in truth, I'm really a cheap ass dude. I don't go buy, expensive anything from clothes to cars. I
Yeah.
will not
Me
buy a
either.
new car, will never buy a new vehicle. If
Yeah.
it's not at least 3 to 5 years old, I'm not even going to look at it.
Right.
And I'm going to pay cash for any vehicle I ever go buy, which also means that it's within a certain range. Because I
Right.
don't
Right.
have, I mean, I'm like everybody else. I don't have, just tons of cash sitting around to go pay for a vehicle. So it's those little things that help out. And I forget where I was going with that, but
Yeah.
I tell you, I have appreciated your time. I've enjoyed, talking about this. I would like to have follow-up conversations as you go and do more of these presentations and are
Okay.
talking to people around the community. I'd love to hear more about how that's worked. Some more case study around just to know
Yeah.
what's possible for people. That's
Well,
the thing.
here, what I
What's
could do
possible.
is let me throw something out here to you. I gave you a book yesterday, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a link this is absolutely free. You don't have to put any information in, and it's called therealhowmoneyworks.com. And you can download that book that I gave you in a PDF. Again, I mean, you don't have to like sign up for something or
Sure.
put your information. It's absolutely just go to the link, click it, and you can download the book. And it's 40 pages of everything that you weren't taught in school, but were supposed to be.
Excellent. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Yes, I would appreciate that. Now, just so that you can say it verbal and you don't have to depend on me to type it, how can anyone reach you should they need to?
Well, my name is Jim Braun, and it's Braun, just like Braunfels, New Braunfels here. And my phone number, my cell phone is 512 693 9550. And I have it with me most of the time. I answer it. Please leave a message if you don't get me. I'll get right back to you. And let's start a conversation. again, it's not going to cost you anything, but a little bit of time to find out if we have something in common that we could help each other with.
Wonderful, wonderful. I wanted to make sure that you got to say it.
No,
A
thank
lot of
you.
times people are driving when they listen to this stuff and they never click a description or anything else. So at least they've heard it and they know, oh, I could go back and listen again. So
Well, I could throw out like my Instagram
please
is
do. Yeah, whatever
my
handles you got.
Instagram is team_Braun.
Team
So they
Braun,
could go on
team
there,
underscore
team
Braun.
underscore Braun, where it just says I'm a money coach on there. And then, I've got Team Braun is a Facebook. If you looked up Team Braun on Facebook,
Okay.
um, and yeah, just I've got different social medias, LinkedIn, just under Jim Braun, money coach on LinkedIn, and yeah, there's I can help people that are kids. I can do IRAs for children. I could do investments for people that are now 67, 70 years old that are entering retirement. So I have the whole gamut, and I can help just about any age group. Let me tell you what happened to me, and we'll finish up. When I was new in the business, about a year in, I went and replaced a policy to one of the construction workers that worked on my job site, and I got what they called an enemy confrontation with the other agent. And this guy was so knowledgeable that he lied through his teeth so well that he just destroyed me, and I was thrown out of the house.
Hmm.
And so I went to the library back before the internet. So this was
Yeah,
probably about 1989. I went to the internet. I went to the library, and I sat in there for 6 months and got my hand on every book on life insurance and how it worked.
sure.
And I today I could teach a college course on it.
I love it.
I feel like I'm that. So let me put this: I've had 20 or 25 confrontations in my 37 years, and not lost one of them. And
That was the
yeah,
one. You said that's it. I don't like to let
yeah,
them steal it.
I just said to myself, that'll never happen to me again.
I
And
love
so
that
I
skill.
became an absolute expert at it. And so I just want, not in a bragging way, I did it because it really, man, I just thought I really let that family down,
Sure.
because I didn't have the knowledge. So I filled
Got
my
it.
head with that knowledge, and maybe too much, but
Oh, I
I
enjoyed
do
that.
know it inside and out, Chris, and I could,
You'd like to
we do
talk
some good.
about that. That's good. All right. Well, Jim, I tell you, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you, really spending this time to not only talk with us about what you do, but what you can actually do for everyone else out here. Uh, None of us know. I'll tell you now,
No,
none of
no,
us know. This may be the very first time that most of my listeners will ever know what a financial planner or advisor could actually do for them.
okay.
We all hear about this is what I do. I'm a financial advisor. I'm a financial planner. I'm an
Yeah,
insurance agent. I'm a whatever. And what we hear is I'm a salesperson.
right.
That's what we hear in our
Well,
brains
and
because we're
that's
not in
what
that
no,
world.
and see, I'm kind of on the. I don't sell life insurance. What I do
Sure.
is I sell solutions, because I'm usually righting a wrong. So
Right.
somebody's gotten wronged, and I'm righting it.
Well, you know what really intrigued me? I'm telling you, even myself, and I don't consider myself to be uh super unintelligent when it comes to finances and investments. And I didn't realize that you could really do so much with
Yeah,
that little amount. I always looked at it as if I've only got that amount, why would I bother? Why would I work? But in truth, a 10% gain's a 10% gain's a 10% gain. It really does, it really doesn't
yeah,
matter. If I want more, put more in. That's all there is to it. But you're right. There are ways that someone who has the knowledge can actually work with us and help us do something that we never would be able to do on our own unless we spent those years learning. So thank you for explaining that to us today.
okay.
All
Thank you
right.
for having me on. That's awesome.